let's dive into this. Today we're going to get into Queen Lateefah, a Nollywood film that's, well, it's making some noise. Let's just say that. Mm-hmm. Now, I know some folks out there might not be super familiar with Nollywood yet, but it's the Nigerian film industry.
Yeah.
And they're known for, like, their unique way of telling stories and also just cranking out tons of films. I know.
Prolific.
Exactly. Prolific. So we've got some really interesting excerpts from a review, a deep dive into Queen Lateefah. Mm-hmm. And this movie is killing it, like box office records. Critics are loving it, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. We don't want to just scratch the surface, right? We want to figure out why this film is ticking, why it's really resonating with people. And trust me, there's something here for everyone, even if you haven't seen a ton of Nollywood films.
Yeah, one of the things that I found so fascinating about Queen Lateefah is how it takes like this familiar romance setup and uses it to explore some pretty deep themes. The movie centers around Lateefah, who's this successful businesswoman, but she's got this past, this secret past of poverty that she's hiding.
Yeah.
She's built this whole new identity for herself, but then she meets this wealthy businessman, Jide Rhodes, and things get complicated.
Oh, so it's not your typical rom-com then. Like, it sounds like this Jide guy really kind of forces Lateefah to face who she really is.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's like a catalyst. And the film really digs into this idea of the masks we wear, especially when we're trying to climb the social ladder, you know?
Yeah.
It forces you to think about the pressure to fit in, the pressure to like present a certain image. And sometimes that means building our identities on a foundation of secrets.
Ooh, that's deep.
Yeah, and it can be really damaging, something I think a lot of us can relate to, at least on some level, wouldn't you say?
Oh, totally. I mean, who hasn't felt that pressure to, like, present a certain image, you know, maybe on social media or even just like in new situations. Mm-hmm. It's like we're constantly trying to fit into this mold that doesn't quite match up with like who we are on the inside.
Right, exactly.
But I'm curious, like, how does the film handle this? Does it really lean into the romance part of it, or is it more about Lateefah's internal struggle?
You know, that's what makes Queen Lateefah so compelling. It uses the framework of a love story, sure, but it's really about so much more.
Okay.
You've got these themes of identity, social class, reinvention, even like self-deception.
Wow.
It's social commentary disguised as this like really captivating drama.
So it's like a Trojan horse, right? You get pulled in by the story, but then bam, you're hit with all these deeper reflections.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm definitely intrigued. Now, the review mentions that the lead actress, Wumi Toriola, is getting just, like, rave reviews for her performance as Lateefah.
Oh, she's fantastic.
What is it about her performance that stands out?
She brings this really amazing balance of ambition and vulnerability. It's not easy to play a character who is both driven and also deeply flawed, someone you find yourself rooting for even when they're making, you know, not the best choices.
Right.
But Wumi Toriola, she just brings this depth and nuance that makes Lateefah feel so incredibly real.
That's what I love about a good performance.
Oh.
When you can empathize with a character, even if you don't always agree with what they're doing.
Totally.
It sounds like she really nails it. But I'm curious, does the film give us any insight into why Lateefah goes to such lengths to hide her past? Is it purely about social climbing, or is there something more there?
That's a great question, and it's something the film explores really well. Lateefah's past isn't just something she's ashamed of. It's a part of herself she's trying to escape.
Oh, okay.
She believes that by reinventing herself, she can actually leave behind all the poverty, the hardship she experienced growing up. But the film challenges that notion. It suggests that, like, real acceptance, it comes from embracing all parts of ourselves, even the ones we'd rather forget.
That's a powerful message. Mm-hmm. It's like the film is saying, hey, running from your past doesn't make it disappear.
Exactly.
You got to confront it to really move forward. Wow, this is getting really, really thought-provoking. And I'm guessing this internal conflict that plays out in her relationship with Jide, the wealthy businessman.
Oh, absolutely. Jide represents everything Lateefah wants. Wealth, status, acceptance into this whole different world. But as their relationship develops, it becomes like this mirror, reflecting all the parts of herself she's tried to bury. It forces her to confront the question, can she ever truly escape her past, or will it always be there, lurking beneath the surface?
So that's what I call high-stakes romance.
Right.
It's not just about falling in love, it's about facing yourself in the process. Speaking of which, the review mentions a pretty incredible supporting cast. Tell us a little bit about them and the roles they play in Lateefah's journey.
The supporting cast is amazing, really top-notch. You've got these heavy hitters like Femi Adebayo, Lateef Adedimeji, Nancy Isime.
Wow, yeah, I know those names.
Bringing so much experience, each of them really adds depth to the story, but I think what makes the supporting characters work so well is that they kind of represent different sides of the world that Lateefah is trying to navigate.
Right.
Like some of them embody that allure of wealth and status, while others kind of reflect those struggles she's desperately trying to leave behind,
So they're not just there for like background noise.
Yeah.
They actually like contribute to Lateefah's inner conflict.
Exactly.
Okay, that's some smart writing.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned the story, the performances, but the review also talks about these stunning visuals. And I gotta admit, I'm always a sucker for beautiful cinematography.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me, like, how does the look of the film actually, like, enhance the storytelling?
Well, it's not just about like pretty pictures, although the film is visually stunning.
Right.
The director, he really uses visuals to kind of like underscore that contrast between Lateefah's two worlds,
Okay, yeah.
You see the opulence of her current life right next to the poverty of her past, and those visuals really, really drive home the choices she's made and the sacrifices she's had to endure to get where she is.
So it's almost like you can see her inner turmoil playing out on screen.
Yes, exactly.
This is making me want to watch this film like right now.
You should.
But before I do, there's one more thing I'm curious about. The review mentions that Queen Lateefah isn't just like a great movie. It also kind of signifies a shift happening in Nollywood.
That's right.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
I think this film is part of this like new wave in Nollywood, one that's focusing on quality over quantity. You're seeing a growing emphasis on really well-crafted stories, complex characters, and higher production values.
Right.
And what's really exciting is that audiences are responding.
Yep.
They're hungry for films that challenge them, make them think, reflect their own realities,
It's almost like Nollywood is kind of stepping onto the global stage, not just with their own unique style, but with films that have like that universal appeal.
I think so, yeah.
It sounds like Queen Lateefah is leading the charge, proving that audiences are ready for these stories with like depth and substance no matter where they come from.
Sure.
But what about the box office? Did this like more nuanced approach resonate with audiences in Nigeria? It
did. The film was a box office phenomenon, broke records, and it proved that audiences are really craving stories that dig a little deeper,
Yeah.
And for an independent film to achieve that kind of success, that really says something about how Nollywood is changing.
That's incredible. I mean, it's one thing to create a film with a powerful message, but to have it like connect with audiences that widely, that's something else. It seems like Queen Lateefah has really struck a chord, not just in Nigeria, but like globally.
Yeah.
What do you think is driving that connection? Why are people, even those outside of Nigeria, drawn to Lateefah's story?
I think it's because her struggles are so universal. Whether you've experienced poverty or not, most of us can relate to that desire for acceptance, that feeling of wanting to fit in.
Right.
And in today's world, especially with social media, that pressure to like present this perfect image, to curate our lives for everyone to see, it's more intense than ever.
It's like we're all trying to build our own personal Queen Lateefah persona online. We're crafting this ideal version of ourselves that might not even be real.
That's a good way to put it.
Yes. But the film seems to be saying, hey, that kind of self-deception, it comes at a price. Is that what you're getting at?
Exactly. Queen Lateefah holds up a mirror to that whole phenomenon,
Yeah.
It makes us think about the price we pay for trying to be someone we're not. It really pushes us to ask ourselves, like, what are we sacrificing just to be accepted?
Yeah.
And is it even worth losing ourselves in the process?
That's a pretty powerful message, especially for a film that also manages to entertain.
Yeah.
It sounds like Queen Lateefah isn't just a film. It's it's a conversation starter.
Yeah.
It's making people think about their own lives, their own choices, and the masks they might be wearing.
And that's the beauty of good storytelling, right? It can entertain, it can provoke thought, and it can even inspire change.
Yeah.
Queen Lateefah is doing all of those things, and I think that's why it's resonating so deeply with people.
We've been talking about these themes of identity and self-deception, but I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier, the film's incredible soundtrack. How does the music contribute to like the emotional weight of the story?
Music is so crucial to setting the tone and drawing you into a film. And in Queen Lateefah, the soundtrack just does this beautiful job of underscoring those emotional highs and lows of Lateefah's journey.
Right.
It amplifies the tension. It kind of like heightens those romantic moments, and it adds this whole other layer of depth to her inner struggles.
Yeah.
It's like the music is its own character in the film. You know, one of the things that really struck me about the film is how it portrays Lateefah's relationship with her mother. We haven't really touched on that yet, but it's a really, really crucial part of understanding her motivations, her internal conflict.
Oh, absolutely. I was actually just about to bring that up.
Right.
The review mentions her mother's influence, but it doesn't really go into detail.
Yeah.
Can you shed some light on their relationship and how it shapes Lateefah?
Lateefah's mother, she really represents that life that Lateefah is so desperately trying to escape. She grew up in poverty, raised by a single mother who couldn't even read. And her mother's struggles, they instilled in Lateefah this profound desire for a better life, you know, for opportunities that she never had. And that drive, that ambition, it really fuels Lateefah's entire journey.
So it's not just about wanting wealth for herself. It's about like breaking free from this cycle of poverty that she's seen firsthand.
Right.
That adds a whole other layer to her ambition, right? It's not just material things. It's about creating a different future for herself.
Exactly, yeah. But the film also explores the complexities of that ambition.
Okay.
It asks, at what cost does success come? And can you ever truly escape your past, even if you get everything you've ever dreamed of?
That's heavy stuff. It's like the film is saying, hey, chasing your dreams is great, but don't lose yourself in the process. And that kind of brings us back to the film's central question, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Can Lateefah, reconcile her past with her present and find a way to be true to herself while still achieving her goals?
That's the question that the film grapples with, and it doesn't offer any easy answers. But I think that's what makes it so compelling. It challenges us to really examine our own values, our own ambitions, and the compromises that we might be making in pursuit of success.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive. I mean, we've covered so much. The plot, the characters, the film's impact on Nollywood, and its ability to connect with audiences on this really personal level.
It really is a special film.
And I have to say, you've totally piqued my curiosity about the ending.
Yeah.
Without giving anything away, can you tell us a bit about how Lateefah's journey, concludes?
I wouldn't dream of spoiling the ending.
Okay.
But I will say that the film doesn't offer a simple resolution. It doesn't tie everything up in a neat little bow. Instead, It leaves you with questions. It prompts you to really think about Lateefah's choices and consider what you might have done in her situation.
Okay, now I'm really on the edge of my seat. I'm going to have to watch this film and see how it all unfolds.
Mm-hmm.
But before we wrap things up, I'm curious about one more thing. The review really praises the film's director, Adeoluwa Owu, for his visual storytelling. Can you tell us a little bit about his style and how it contributes to the overall impact of the film?
Adeoluwa Owu, he's really talented. His style is, it's captivating. Like, he uses these long, lingering shots, and they draw you into the scene. They let the emotions just, simmer, you know?
Yeah.
And his use of color, it's masterful. Like, he uses these warm tones to represent Lateefah's past, her roots, and then he switches to these cooler, almost sterile tones for her present life, which really highlights the emotional detachment she's developed.
Wow, that's a really smart way to visually reinforce the film's themes.
Yeah.
It sounds like every shot is carefully chosen, adding another layer to the story. It's amazing to think that this film, with all these complex themes, the stunning visuals, it was made independently.
It really is.
It says a lot about the passion and the dedication of the filmmakers. You know?
Oh, absolutely. Queen Lateefah is a real testament to the power of independent cinema.
Yeah.
It shows that you don't need a huge budget or a big studio backing you to create something truly special.
Right.
It's all about the story, the characters, and the vision of the filmmakers, right? And I think that's what really resonates with audiences. They can feel that authenticity, that passion that's been poured into every frame.
And it's so inspiring to see a film like this, just break through and have this huge impact. Not just in Nigeria, but globally. Mm-hmm. It feels like a turning point for Nollywood. Yeah. A signal that, the world is ready for these diverse, nuanced stories.
I totally agree. Queen Lateefah is a game changer. It's opening doors for other Nollywood filmmakers, giving them the chance to tell their stories, to show off their talent, and to reach a much wider audience.
Totally.
And I think it's just the beginning. We're going to see more and more Nollywood films making waves on the international scene. And I can't wait to see what stories they tell,
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive. We started by unpacking the film's plot, the characters. Then we talked about its wider impact on Nollywood, its ability to spark these really important conversations about identity, ambition, the choices we make chasing our dreams.
It's been great talking about all this with you. Queen Lateefah is one of those films that stays with you long after you've seen it. It makes you think about your own life, the masks you might be wearing, you know.
So if anyone listening is intrigued by what we've talked about today, I highly, highly recommend checking out Queen Lateefah. It's a powerful, moving film that, it will stay with you. And if you're curious about Nollywood in general, dive in. There's a whole world of incredible stories just waiting to be discovered.
And remember, the most important thing we can take away from this isn't just about one film, right?
It's about the power of storytelling, how it can connect us, challenge us, and help us understand ourselves and the world a little bit better.
Beautifully said. Until next time, keep diving deep, keep exploring, and keep those conversations going.